Welcome to our podcast, Mom and Me Unfiltered, the podcast where a mother and daughter navigate the intricacies of life together.
We explore an array of topics, whether it's relationships, opinions on finances, fashion, and so much more. Join us as we bridge the gap between generations, learning from each other and growing together, episode by episode.
We are your host. I'm Shri, along with my daughter, Allie. Welcome to our journey. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming prosperity coach Joe Solomon, who helps others overcome obstacles standing in the way of their financial freedom. Joe published personal money management bestseller Infinite Love and Money with Molly Singh, as well as the 9 money rules millionaires use, only the unconventional ones, which was a bestseller in both self-help and personal finance. In 2018, he also published Mindful Money Management, Memoirs of a Hedge Fund Manager, also a bestseller. Joel is an award-winning TEDx speaker and has been a guest on more than 100 podcasts, appeared on TV with CEO Money and Between the Covers, and been quoted in the Wall Street Journal, Newsday, U.S. News and World Report, and interviewed in Forbes and on Bloomberg Radio. In 2012, he achieved a decades-long dream with the launch of his own hedge fund, Salamore Capital, named after his 2 daughters, Lauren and Morgan. Solomon's financial experience includes managing a $700 million long-short equity and credit portfolio for Citi. He generated positive returns every full year during his time at Citi, including 2008 when the market suffered 40% losses in financial stocks. In 2022, Joel created a non-profit organization, Salamore Charitable Giving, Inc., to teach financial literacy to kids under 18 in the United States. Solomon has been chartered financial analyst since 1995, and in 1992, he was named a Fellow of the Society of Actuaries. He is also an Advanced Communicator Gold Toastmaster and a Certified Infinite Possibilities Trainer and Trailblazer. When not helping others achieve their financial dreams, Joel enjoys table tennis, bowling, and skiing. He is also an avid traveler and has visited 60 countries and 6 continents. Please help us welcome Joel. Okay, well, we are thrilled to have a guest on our podcast today. So I'd like to welcome Joel Solomon. Hi, Joel.
Hi, Shri. Hi, Ellie. Thank you so much for having me. I am grateful for both of you.
We are so happy to have you here. You and I had the pleasure of meeting at a retreat last spring, right?
We did.
And then with that, you gave me one of your books, the 9 Money Rules of Millionaires, and I read it. And I think what really resonated with me and why I really wanted to have you on the podcast is because you started out as a hedge fund manager. And in that whole financial world, which I will be quite truthful, has always been a challenge for me, like women in investing. And that's why it's one of the things that we're offering at my upcoming retreat. But then what I really loved is that you're in this whole prosperity coaching world of the limiting beliefs and our money mindset. And we could talk for 3 hours on this and I still wouldn't get enough. So that's why we're really excited. And Allie and I talk a lot about this. So
Good. It's important.
yeah. So what inspired, what's your story? I guess I'll ask that first. And what inspired you to become a prosperity coach?
Thank you. Great question, Tree. So I had a dream in 1993 to be a hedge fund manager. And if you asked me back then, I would have said I love investing and I really enjoy analyzing stocks. And so that was my dream for a long time. And I achieved the dream in 2008, working at Citigroup. You may remember 2008, though it wasn't, I know Allie doesn't remember 2008, but
Not quite.
but 2008 was the worst year in the stock market since the Great Depression. The market was down 40%, financial stocks were down 57%. So that was the year I started managing money for Citi. I managed to gain a small percentage that year, did better the next year, and was actually living my dream, and then got laid off with the best of the people in the division because there was a law that was passed that said banks can't own hedge funds, which actually gave me the kick in the butt to start my own company, which was my true dream. So I
But
started my
was
own
that always
hedge.
your true dream? Did you have a dream to start a company prior to the other part of your career? Do you think?
So yeah, I mean, I think in the 90s when I was working as an actuary, and you may know the difference between an actuary and an accountant. An
Yes.
actuary looks at his feet when he talks to you, an accountant looks at your feet when they talk to you.
Oh, I guess I didn't know that difference.
So I started my career as an actuary, and when I was doing that, my dream was to be a money manager and to have my own company doing it. And so I achieved the dream eventually. And then, so to answer your question fully, in December of 2015, I was managing my fund. We had 2.5 great years, almost 3 great years. And I went to a personal development course, and two things there completely changed my life. So the first thing was that we had a guest speaker speaking for 1 hour. It was a 3.5 day course, and he spoke for 1 hour about stocks and stock options. And when he spoke about stock options in particular, he made it sound easy. He said, you don't need much time, you don't need much money. This is how the rich people get rich. Options are essentially risk free. And I was sick to my stomach. There were 200 people in the room. I had people tapping me on the shoulder, whispering me, Joel, does this make sense? Are options really risk free? So I was polite. After he was done, we went out of the auditorium. I told him, please don't do this. He has no idea about any of you individually, and most importantly, no idea about your belief
Mm.
that you could become rich using options. So that was the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened at that personal development course was we were given a wooden board 2 inches thick, and we were told we're going to break it with our bare hand. Have you done it? Either of you?
I've never
No.
done it. Well, no, but yeah, I can't say I
Okay.
have.
There was a lot of fear in the room. The exercise was called Obstacles Are Illusions. And on one side of the board, we had to write our biggest obstacle, and the other side, our ultimate goal, which stumped me for a while. And then it hit me:
Okay.
make everyone in this room financially free. Make everyone in this room financially free. And I broke the board like
Really? You
the
did?
other 200 people in the room. And I went home that night. I couldn't sleep. First, the guy was in my head, and I realized if I could ever get up the courage to speak on a stage, see, my biggest fear that day was public speaking. I could tell people the truth about money, be of service, not mislead them, and be helpful. And the second thing going on in my head was that wooden board staring back at me across my bedroom: make everyone in this room financially free. And I think it hit me at like 4:30 in the morning. And I jumped out of bed. I quickly got dressed. I was at my office in Midtown Manhattan before the sun rose. And I sent an email to my investors telling them I'm giving them their money back. I'm shutting down my fund. I figured out my
Wow.
true purpose in
You
life.
did it. That's how you did it?
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. I don't think I knew that you did it that way. And then, but how did you then become a prosperity coach? Because, we have our journey of learning all of this in the coaching world, but like, what were the biggest challenges you faced, if any, on developing like a healthy, like, to me, someone like you who's a hedge fund manager, I can't say that word, would already have a healthy relationship with money, right? Like I have my story, but I would think that you just know money. You know how to invest, you help people get more wealthy, but did you have your own difficult relationship with money or have to figure that out?
Well, actually, I grew up like most people, being told we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on
Okay.
trees. That's too expensive. I got screamed at if I left my bedroom with the light on. Joel, we're not a shareholder of Long Island Lighting Company. Shut that light off.
We had the same childhood. Like you are
So,
repeating
yeah,
words that are in my
right,
head. Yeah.
right. And so those words did not serve you. They did not serve me. And those words are scarcity and lack and poverty consciousness. And so that's what I was taught growing up. and I had to reprogram myself to thoughts of abundance and prosperity.
And how did you learn to do that?
I think it was a lot of interaction with other people with a lot of wealth. When I started as an analyst back in the late 90s, working at a Swiss insurance company, I was interviewing the management teams of insurance companies around the globe who were most of them worth at least 10 to 100 million. And then later when I was a stock analyst for a small hedge fund, I was interviewing CEOs of even larger companies worth hundreds of millions of dollars and some billionaires. So
See,
just
that
learning from them, interacting with them, and I say your net worth equals your net work. So if you're interacting with these people who are worth large amounts of money, you're learning from them, you're interacting with them, you're spending a lot of time with them, you're automatically up leveling your wealth and your knowledge and your programming.
But it always fascinates me to think about like when someone who has an extreme amount of wealth, if they had a childhood where their parents were the same, they had that wealth and they inherited that those positive beliefs about money versus there were people that had a lot of wealth that grew up really poor and they had to make that switch. Like to me,
Yep.
it's just such a fascinating thing. Like, you kind of just answered one of the questions, like when does one's upbringing and their environment impact their financial mindset, right?
Absolutely.
Because yeah.
And you don't like I don't know everyone like the chief executive officers and the chief financial officers of insurance companies or money management companies, the companies I was invested in, the banks that I interviewed, I don't know if they grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth, right? I don't know their upbringing. I do know a few of the people I interviewed, their upbringing, and those people I know weren't brought up with a silver spoon in their mouth. So they probably were taught what we were taught and had overcame that programming themselves at some point during their career to become, very wealthy.
Or yeah, and I also think it's a personal thing whereas I manage budgets in the corporate world and I could do that really, really well for someone else's money,
Mm,
right? And I had no issues of self-worth or anything because I was handling that and that was my job. And then
mm,
in my personal life, it could be a completely different story because I had my own limiting beliefs that were from
hmm
my
hmm
childhood that didn't carry through and work. So yeah.
What do you think the first steps are if someone should take, if they're looking to identify or shift their limiting beliefs about money?
It's a great question. So I think baby steps in general, moving in the direction of empowering beliefs. So what I teach is pretending, acting as if what you want to happen has already happened. Visualizing, the core concepts that I'm a certified infinite possibilities trainer. So I teach the core concepts of Mike Dooley's bestseller, Infinite Possibilities, and I infuse that into everything I teach. And, we teach visualization, spend 5 minutes a day visualizing your dream life or your dream car, your dream house, or your dream career, or your dream relationships and really get into the feelings of that experience. So spending more time out of the physical reality if it's not serving you, right? I think that's a nice first step. A lot of my clients are really struggling with the mindset issues. And so we first do a survey to see where they are in terms of their beliefs. And then we talk about where they came from, even though I will say it's not really essential to know where they came from. You can move to empowering beliefs without even knowing where the limiting beliefs came from.
But you had me do a test and it was
Yes.
you nailed it.
Brilliant.
And I did not think I was still in that place. I mean, you when I took the test and you gave me the results, you basically described my parents, which I thought
Mm,
I had come
yeah.
so far, but I still, it's like ingrained. It takes it, for some people, it takes work.
It's for some people. I've coached people on mindset for 52 weeks,
Yeah.
a full year, just on money mindset.
Yeah.
So yes, and it can take time because there's sometimes two steps forward, one step back, right? You start take it's creating new habits. You have to create new synapses in the brain, new habits that the way I teach is okay, you're doing some habits. You may not even know you have habits. You have a morning routine. I have a 3 hour morning routine of self care. But some people have a morning routine where they jump out of bed, they grab their coffee, and they're in the car in 20 minutes. That's still a routine. So why not add something to that, like some affirmations, a 5 minute visualization? Maybe you're exercising, so add it to the end of your exercise routine to create new habits so that you can start on the process to creating empowering beliefs.
I also just recently read a statistic that 62% of Americans don't talk about money. And I was like, wow, that's like people just go about their day to day and wonder why they're not achieving, whether it be money goals or
Mm.
something. But it's like, it's so true. Like, it's just something that people are afraid to discuss, or the fear of accepting. I think there's guilt and shame and,
Yes, I was just about to say guilt and
right,
shame.
associated with it.
Absolutely. Because so part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of the lack of education, right? So I didn't tell the second part of the story, which was at that 3 day course, the personal development course where the guy spoke for 1 hour. He was pitching a stock option course, and out of the 200 people in the room, 60 ran to the back of the room to sign up for his course, spending $1,000. So he made $60,000 in 1 hour, right? And he was teaching people things that most of them were not going to use to become rich. I'd say 55, 57 of them were not even going to learn the techniques. And so people need to get educated before they go to a course like that to
Yeah.
know that what is your belief that stock options are the way to become rich? Because he got them to attend temporarily, right? And then their belief level was going to come down in the days and weeks ahead. So going in, it's important to know, are you excited and interested about options? Or are you interested about stocks or bonds or crypto or real estate? Like, where is your passion? Because I truly believe if you're interested and passionate about something, then you're going to make a lot more money and become more prosperous doing it. But don't have somebody sway you and say, hey, this is the way you got to learn options. For them, for that guy, it was probably the way. I don't disagree, but not for the other 200
Yeah.
people in the room.
Mhm.
Well, plus if you have some kind of limiting beliefs, learning in a course, you're just going to learn, and then something is going to stop you
Right.
along the way. So,
Correct.
Al, I think you were going to say
What?
something.
Yeah, I was going to say, what advice would you give to people that are stuck in their same routine or are looking to just, make a complete different shift, or if they have debt or something that they just feel stuck and overwhelmed?
Baby steps. Take smaller baby steps. With the debt, I would say I have a game called the budget game. And it's a really simple way to shift again from this feeling of and sometimes budgeting is like a four-letter word to people, but life is a game, so let's make it a game. Let's play the game. And so I teach this game if anybody wants to learn about it. I give everybody 30 minutes free, by the way. Anybody who's watching who wants to get 30 minutes free of prosperity coaching, I'll teach you the budget game. So that's what I would recommend if you're struggling with debt. It's a very fun, simple way, and you're going to be thinking about money differently. It'll be a game rather than like this kind of resistance and struggle. So that's one thing you can do. The other, I have 9 money rules that millionaires use.
And I recommend the book.
Thank you. So I do too. And the first one we've talked about, rule number one, is belief. So rule number seven is where's my cash going? And you can use the budget game to figure that out. And there are a lot of other rules in the book, so I'll give you a few. Two and nine are probably the most controversial. Two is trust your intuition, right? So how how can you start developing that muscle that, like, I used to go to the gym and do my bicep curls. How can you develop the intuition muscle? Right? So you're making hundreds of decisions every day. So start using your intuition more, and then you can use it for your monetary or prosperity decisions. Because I say your intuition is incredibly powerful, and I still second guess myself daily on intellect versus your gut feel. But your gut, your intuition is powerful, and it'll make the best decisions.
Yeah.
So when you're
And
making decisions throughout the day, like here in Manhattan, I'm on the subway platform, the local train is sitting there, but the express is coming in 2 minutes. So what do I do? Local express, what do? I just close my eyes, trust my intuition.
it's one of my mottos is I trust my gut no matter what. And if I had
Mhm.
trusted my gut on many decisions, it would have gone the way it probably should have gone. But yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
in the book, I actually specifically say that if I didn't trust my intuition as a hedge fund manager, I either lost money or I made less money.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I know your answer to this, but like, what role do you think gratitude plays in transforming someone's relationship with money? Because I think, and that's one of your, can you explain that a little bit more?
Rule number five in the
Five.
nine
Okay.
money
I didn't know which
rules.
one it was.
Yes. So
Yeah.
rule number five. Sorry, I haven't memorized since I wrote the book, but you don't yet. You will
No, no,
someday.
Not yet.
After June, you'll have it memorized.
Okay.
After the retreat, you'll have it memorized. So gratitude. It's such a powerful attitude because usually you're grateful for something after it comes in. But what if you could be grateful or appreciative for something before it actually evolves into physical reality? So I say what you appreciate appreciates. What you appreciate appreciates. So most people go about their day because of the law of attraction. If they're complaining, they get more and more things to complain about.
Mhm.
Well, it shifts your energy when you're in gratitude, you
So
know?
if you're thinking about what I'm grateful for, and I highly recommend, if you don't have a gratitude journal, writing down 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every morning, 3 to 5 things you're grateful for every night. And what's most important is the why and the feeling attached to it. So I write every morning and every night. I'm grateful for Lorna Morgan, my daughters, and my company is named after Sal Laura Moore. So I'm grateful for my daughters, Lauren and Morgan, because they have taught me unconditional love.
So I find that interesting because, like you, I have done a gratitude journal for years and I actually require my clients to get one and start the process. And a lot of times in the beginning, they don't understand and they kind of they don't really want to do it. And then they understand eventually. But I like that you just said, then you say, and why? Because I just write, I am thankful for, and I list things. And I love to go back and look at the things that I've listed. And it really does like make you, oh my gosh, like look at how that's like, I really appreciated that at that time. But I like the little added benefit that you just said. So
Mhm.
can you repeat that
Yes.
again? What do you do?
So write down what you're grateful for and why.
Okay.
So
Mm,
and because you want to get into the feeling of it, right? It's feeling first, manifestation second.
yep.
So by the way, in Abraham Hicks's emotional guidance scale, there's 21 different levels. And number one is love, joy, passion, and appreciation. So appreciation's the highest in the emotional guidance scale. By the way, the same number one is the vibration of abundance and prosperity. So if you're vibrating in love, joy, passion, appreciation all day, every day, then the abundance is going to flow.
It's such a hard, difficult thing to wrap your brain around for a lot, because if you're in that mindset of lack or fear or scarcity, it's really hard to be appreciative of things. But I can attest that it works, that it is so true. And gratitude changed things, the course of things for me a lot through the years. Yeah.
Exactly. And I would say, going back to an early comment I made, so if the physical reality isn't serving you as you might like, you're worried about debt payments or money flows, there's more cash going out than coming in, then pretend more.
Mhm. I like to
I
call it practicing. I like to
pra-
practice
I
it,
like
you
that.
know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
practice. Yeah, that's a great word. So do that, act as if, visualize, write down the story of where you are now as if you're already there, right? Do some scripting, journaling, segment intending. You can, before each segment of your day, you could say, okay, this is how I want the outcome to be, and then act as if it's there. You could act as if you're going to go on that amazing trip to the Maldives, right? By just going online and checking out how much the flights are, when's the best time of year to go, and which hotels you want to get to, what excursions you want to go on, all of that without spending any money, right? You could go to Amazon and just not I'm not promoting Amazon, but any particular website and just put stuff in your shopping cart as if you're about to buy them.
You and I can both agree on this because we believe in our vision boards and things like that. And for the longest time, Bora Bora was on my bucket list
Mm.
and on a vision board. And I used to research it and all those things. And guess where you and I met?
Yeah.
On a
Yeah.
retreat in Bora
Right.
Bora last spring,
Yes.
So I pretended, I practiced. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
And I,
doing that when the physical reality may not be, when your feelings about the physical reality are low vibration, worry, fear, anger, overwhelm, those are low vibrations. So you don't want to spend your time there because you can't get to abundance and prosperity from here.
right. And I always use as an example with clients, if someone wants to buy their dream home, but they can't afford it yet. And they, instead of thinking about the action steps they can take, they get frustrated and feel defeated. And I say, well, go to open houses and just like feel, instead of being envious, feel what it's like if that house was yours, and just get excited about it. And that's, you're raising your vibration. That's like just an example of one way to do it,
Feel
Exactly.
inspired.
Yeah. Hey, it's Shri, and I wanted to do a quick announcement before we get into the episode. So, my 5-night women's destination retreat in the beautiful coastal town of Cascais, Portugal, takes place in June of 2025. And I wanted to highlight a few things and let you know how to get on the list if you're interested in attending, because I'm bringing together experienced and talented coaches and speakers who will be spending 5 days diving deep and covering topics like women and money and investing, relationships, health, mindset, old beliefs, and how to transform them so you can end procrastination, really find fulfillment and joy, and oh my gosh, so much more. In addition to that, we'll venture on fun stuff like daily excursions, experiencing the beautiful sights and history of my favorite place, Portugal, and, join together for dinners and sunset sails and so much more. I'm tired of attending retreats or workshops and coming home and feeling like I didn't really get enough information or knowledge and know what to do with it. And it is truly my goal that every woman that attends my retreats feels safe and supported and leaves with the tools and inspiration to achieve the dreams that you've put aside and to really truly find more fulfillment. So, more details are to come, but only 12 spots will be held. So, if this resonates with you, See the link in the show notes to my website so you can leave your name and email and get your name on the list. Or you can DM me on my Instagram account at Shri Rego, it's Rego, Shri Rego Coaching, and you can leave your information there. So I am so super excited about this retreat, putting a lot of work into it. Can't wait for it to happen, and I hope to see some of you there. And now back to the episode.
What do you think the most surprising thing is that you've learned through people's relationship with money, through your coaching?
I think the most surprising thing when I started 7 years ago is I didn't realize how critical the mindset was. I thought I'd be teaching a lot on investing. I'd be teaching a lot on manifestation techniques. I thought I'd be teaching a lot on building how to build a business. But I've spent most clients, we go into mindset first, and a lot of clients we don't go any further because if you don't have this solid foundation with your mindset, you're building on sand and it's going to break. So if I could teach you like that guy, I could teach stock options or stocks or real estate. But if your foundation isn't strong, you're going to be selling when you should be buying and buying when you should be selling. So it's really important to, and this happened just last year. I I started coaching just for mindset and investing in 2023. I didn't have a program, a 90-day, 3-month program just for that until last year. So I started teaching this program and I had longer programs. I didn't have a 90-day program. So 3-month program. I started with the mindset and I was, I have in my book a 5-step proprietary stock screen, and this guy read the book and he's like, okay, I want to learn it. And I said, yes, but we're going to teach you the mindset piece first. And so the program's 10 weeks. And after 5 weeks, he's like, Joel, like, we got to get to the stock screen. And it's going to take me weeks to understand it. When are we starting? And I said, well, you're still vibrating down here in fear and worry. And he's like, no. I signed up for this. I'm not going to spend 10 weeks just on mindset. So the next week we started. And then 9 weeks in, he's like fully versed in the screen and he's doing it himself. He's becoming expert. And he he invested, and immediately the first stock he invested in went down 5%. And he sent me this long email saying, what do you do when immediately you invest and a stock crashes?
And there's this fear creeping in too, right?
So that was so he meant 5% is crash. And I said, first of all, you've only lost 5%. Second of all, we should have not gone into this yet. That was my ding, ding, ding. Like, I'm not listening to a client when I know that, I didn't trust my intuition. My intuition was saying, don't go further. He really needs to work more on his mindset. And he's still very fear-based and not up here in appreciation and gratitude and joy. And so you can't get here from here. And so he was still vibrating in that lower vibration. And, now he's done a lot more with me since then to work on more mindset and not on the stock screen because he needs a lot more work on the mindset piece.
And I have to attest for how important that is because I purchased one of your courses and I'm still in the process of it. And quite truthfully, I stopped for a while because even though I know I've come a long way with my money mindset, I mean, I was able to support and raise my children and get through a lot of hurdles, but I still know that I have shit to work out, right? And I recognized so much of it in the past year when I've made so many changes in my life. And you really have to get to the root of those beliefs and the fears in order to, I think, be able to vibrate at that higher level. Because then things happen. You're like, why did this just happen to me? And then when I'm in that appreciation mode, in that good energy, things flow to me that I would never have expected. Like, it's so true. If we could just let anyone who's listening know that it really works, it works. Because you just answered one of my questions. So I won't even ask my next question because you kind of covered it just now. But yeah.
It's like you said, when you're seeing the physical reality and it's lacking, it can be difficult to go up here and just be in appreciation, but do it.
Yeah.
Spend the time to do it. Be consistent, and I believe that if you're following the nine money rules in gratitude, appreciation, if you're trusting your intuition, if you're focusing on empowering beliefs, then eventually the money will flow in. Now, I'm not saying, just visual. I don't know any billionaires who sit at home and visualize and meditate all day, right? You go out into the world, you take action as well, but you're
Right.
taking inspired action from a place of gratitude and appreciation.
Well, the same thing. I mean, Oprah Winfrey, when she tells her story, where she came from and all of her beliefs, and she's like one of the number one advocates for practicing gratitude, and
Yep.
and she's an example. But what's one question that everyone should ask themselves about money to start transforming? Because
Mm.
we all like, I'm still learning some of my beliefs. So what do you think would be the biggest question to like help someone to begin that process?
Well, I think again, it's one question would be, what are the why am I doing what I'm doing? Because actions are a really big tell on your beliefs.
Hmm.
So I had a client, this client I was talking about, who I coached for a year on money mindset, who was taught growing up that when you brush your teeth, you get the tube of toothpaste and you get a wooden piece of wood at the end and you roll it forward around the toothpaste so you don't miss a drop of the toothpaste. So I asked him if that action was a prosperous action or a scarcity action. So check, that's one thing everyone can do throughout the day is the actions that I'm taking. Am I turning off my light in my office when I go down for lunch in my kitchen and coming back 20 minutes later to turn it back on? Like, is that action now? When
Well,
I'm not going to get about environmentally friendly and all
right,
that, and
right,
because
right.
I was
Yeah.
talking to my like we're just talking about money actions related to prosperity versus poverty consciousness. So check yourself throughout the day. I think that's a really good way to tell a first step to tell where you are on the spectrum of abundance or prosperity.
You're just reminding me, and Allie, I have to call you out because being
Oh
raised
no.
by me, you and your brother, I remember like,
What are you about
just
to say?
well, does bath towels bring anything to you? Like the like bath towels in our home, like
What were
years
you
ago, maybe
using?
not, maybe more for Jack. Like, so
The
growing
jacket.
up, my parents, my mother had the towels for our guests, and they were
Oh
really nice
yes.
towels. And then we
Yes.
had the everyday towels. And I kid you not, I think I took showers with towels that had like fringe and were getting thin, right, at home. And all of a sudden, like a few years ago, when I was not broke, like we had money, and I'm looking in our linen closet with my kids when they were still living at home. I was like, why do we have such shitty bath towels? Because I was like, I couldn't, my mindset was not that I wasn't deserving of going and buying beautiful bath
Mm.
towels. And now I have to have beautiful bath. But Allie, do you remember that at all?
Oh yes, I remember.
So I would often wonder because I tried to break certain patterns, but what like I worry sometimes that my kids are going to have a lack money mindset because of anything I may have not consciously carried onto you.
I think the last few years, or at least now that I live by myself, I have quite a few towels. There's some options that aren't just for the holidays, but I think there was one year where I did just have the same holiday towels, and I was like, "Wow, I am my mom." But
Wow.
I now I have, I don't know. I don't know if that carried over, but there definitely are a few things that are
There are. I
positive.
know.
I bring,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
check yourself. Like you
Yeah.
could just like, so one thing I have people do when we're into rule number 7, which is where's my cash going, is write down everything you spend for one day. So you could do the same thing with like your actions. Just check your actions throughout the day. So you wake up in the morning, this is one interesting one, not flushing the toilet to save water.
Yeah.
Like literally in Switzerland, when I was living in Switzerland, there were people that literally did not flush their toilet all day.
Now
Oh my
see,
gosh.
I don't
It
worry about
just,
water in that. Yeah.
but there was, and it
Yeah.
wasn't an environmental thing; it was a scarcity thing.
Yeah.
So like checking or like contact lenses.
Mhm.
You know, you have disposable lenses that you're supposed to use for 2 weeks, but you're using them for 4 or 6. Is that prosperous mindset or poverty conscious mindset? And some people will say, well, I'm saving a few dollars here. But if you believe there's almost an infinite amount of abundance on this earth, by the way, there is, there's $500 trillion of net worth on this earth. And if you believe that you're worthy of your fair share, then you're not doing these action steps that, to save a few dollars, a euro, a yen, or Swiss francs.
You know, a really good analogy that I heard on a podcast. It's probably it's like a manifesting coach somewhere, and the universe has so much abundance. Like, let's take away the money piece of it right now, but the universe. And something I never thought of was if you take an apple, right, and there's many apples that grow on a tree, but you take that one apple and you cut it, and then you get the seeds from that apple, and then you replant a seed, and it makes more trees. But it's such a simple thing that I never thought of. And you look at anything in nature, there's just so much abundance. And, I had such a mindset that it was, you had to work really hard to have money. Like, money is a struggle. So I was afraid of money for so long because I associated money not as energy, but as something that was challenging,
Yeah,
and
look,
yeah,
I think just sorry to interrupt you. I
no,
think everyone's taught that.
yeah.
I was taught you have to work hard to be rich and successful. You have to work hard, like white knuckling it, literally like this, that kind of posture, and that creates resistance. That this is actually what creates abundance, the flow. And so I learned it in 2008 when I was working 75 hours a week at Citi, my first job as a hedge fund manager, and I barely made a bonus. But I thought, okay, well, this is my first job where I get paid for my performance. So I'm going to just work really, really hard, which, by the way, for most people is just more hours. Working
Mhm.
hard means more hours. So I work more hours. But I realized at the end of 2008, if I continued working that hard, I might not see my daughters become teenagers. So I decided consciously to work smarter, work more productively, and have more fun. And that, a lot of the things, rule number 3 is can happiness buy you money? Not can money buy you happiness? Can happiness buy you money? And I was really happy in 2009. I was having a lot more fun. I got divorced in December of '07. In 2008, I enjoyed my time with my daughters, but the time I wasn't with my daughters, I was working. And 2009, I shifted and I said, I'm going to have more fun. I'm going to be out with my friends. I'm going to go out on some dates and I'm actually going to live life more. And the funny thing happened. I had my best year ever before or since in 2009.
Because people just go through the day to day and just put their head down
Right. And
and
that's
they'll
not how it
miss.
works. It's changing your vibration, right? We haven't talked about frequency, vibration, energy, but
Go for
up
it.
here in love, joy, passion, that's the highest vibration frequency, that emotion. And that's the same vibration and frequency that where is abundance and prosperity. It's not down here in anger, in sadness, depression, in overwhelm, all those low level vibrations. You can't get to abundance from those low level vibrations. So what can you do on a daily basis to raise your vibration and be cognizant of it? Even maybe set an alarm every 2 hours. How am I feeling right now? Am I joyous? Am I grateful? Am I appreciative? Or am I like, doing this, right? Moving matter to create matter. That's not serving you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that working hard, and like my parents taught me that you got to work hard to be rich and successful. My grandparents taught my parents. My great grandparents taught my grandparents.
It was the
Uh,
norm. And it was just work hard and then you save up for that one vacation. And
right.
then, it wasn't, yeah.
It's not enjoying every step of the way. Enjoy your life every step of the way.
I
Go to
say to my
go to Bora
clients,
Bora when you can.
Yeah.
So
I always say to my clients, life is supposed to be about joy.
Yeah.
Yes, we work, but we're supposed to enjoy. And it's yeah. Allie,
And
I
the
think
other,
you had a question.
oh yeah, I was gonna say, what's one mindset shift you wish everyone could adopt about money?
well, we've been talking about, the shift from poverty consciousness to prosperity consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's ignoring what's happening in the physical reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can adopt this mindset of abundance. So Shri alluded to it, right? The amount of abundance in this universe is infinite, almost infinite, right? Think about the amount of solar energy that the sun provides to the earth. In one day, the sun provides enough solar energy to provide solar energy for the whole earth for a year, just from that one day. The amount of drops of water in the ocean, it's almost infinite. The amount of blades of grass on all the lawns around the globe, the amount of
Yeah,
grains of sand.
I
I
say
mean,
that.
it's just
Yeah.
everywhere there's abundance, right? And by the way, I mentioned earlier the net worth of the earth is 500 trillion. It was $1 trillion just 120 years ago. We went from 1 trillion to 500 trillion
Hmm.
in the last 120 years.
That's a
That's
number I would not
abundance.
have known. Okay.
Huge growth, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, where did the 499 trillion come from? It didn't come from Mars. It didn't come from Venus. It didn't come from other galaxies. It came
Energy.
here. It
Yeah.
came from ideas of humans.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing to really understand is that like it is energy and it can be positive energy. It doesn't need to be like look at money as evil. What was I something else I heard that people have that expression money is the root of all evil, but that's not really I read that the reference is really that the love of money is the root of all evil. So it's if you love money for like the greed and the wrong reasons, but
Right.
money's not the root of all evil. Money can do amazing things.
Right. And it's not even the love of money. I would say even the love of money is not evil, but
Okay.
couching it like at the expense of other people,
Yeah.
like at the expense of love of other people, of humanity,
Right.
right? So that's greed. And
Like,
so it's good to love money, and you have a relationship with money whether you know it or not. Like you said, Shri, money is energy. So it's great to think about like are you treating money? I last April when I my TEDx talk came out, I happened to go be at a networking event just a few weeks later, and I was giving out QR codes so that people would watch my TEDx because
yeah.
I did it because I want people to change their mindset around money, learn some techniques that can make them financially free quicker. And I was giving QR codes to people, and this one woman, I was explaining, what it was, and she said, "Oh, I I don't care about money." And I was taken aback. I was like, "Well," and I thought about it. I did a few videos on this. I wrote a few emails about this to my list, and I said, "Look, if you're like this woman, and you specifically say in your mind or tell other people that you don't care about money, well, what would happen if you said that to a friend? I don't care about you. Is that friend gonna be around you, want to hang out with you? Well, if you're saying that about money, money's not going to want to hang out with you. Money's not
Right.
going to want you to be a friend, and you have a relationship with money whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
How are
Well,
you
that's one of
treating
her.
it?
That's a clear limiting belief, right? On her
Right.
end, like yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. And yeah, and you to reference something you said earlier about when we were talking about money and evil and all that. Whenever I set an intention, I always say with benefit to all and harm to none, because I learned something in some course about when you set you say you want to manifest $100,000, right? Well, you could manifest that a horrible way by someone
Right.
passing away and getting their life insurance. So I always say
Right.
like be careful with the words you choose. I just had to mention that because I think that whole money is evil is really a big thing for people. They feel like you're either being greedy if I want more money or and not realizing you can do really good things with more money and just it won't harm people if you're using it the right way.
Right. I mean, the limiting beliefs like rich people are evil, rich
Yep.
people are criminals, like those rich people growing up, because most of us, 99% of us,
Mhm.
didn't grow up with $10 million, living in a castle, $100 million living in castles. So, we looked at, and by the way, a lot. I've been pointing this out to my daughters for years, but even like in animated movies, or there's like this Robin Hood kind of mentality of, take from the rich and give to the poor. And so like the rich people got their money in a wrong way, and they're not good people. But I will tell you, it's good to be rich. Like, why wouldn't you want to have $10 million and give 1 million away to your favorite charity or create your own,
Right.
right? And why wouldn't you want to? And by the way, I've also met a lot of very rich people. I alluded to that earlier. Like, I've been interviewing CEOs of major insurance companies and money management companies, and a lot of these people worth 100 million or more, $1 billion, and they are the most generous, kind, caring people I've met in my life.
So I think I would like someone for a big takeaway from this episode who's struggling or unaware of what their beliefs might be to really be able to understand how to recognize their beliefs, or that's probably not probably is where you start, I think, to
Yes.
understand what you're telling yourself every day. I have days where I can wake up really happy and ready to go, and days where I go back to my old self and I'm thinking, oh my God, like, what's in the bank? What do I have to pay? What I have to, it's just like that habit, and you have to break that. And then I have to say, okay, like think about the good stuff and be excited about what you're going to do. And so I think the biggest thing is to understand your mindset, and like not to be mad at yourself or blame anyone from your past, because that was a big thing. Like I kind of used to blame maybe my parents, but they did what they knew. I mean, they provided really well for me and my sisters, and they were great. They just had their own beliefs. And once I could get past that and really recognize mine, and then you have to change your story, But I think that, I think we covered the gratitude, and but I just want to say, give you, like you mentioned, or I mentioned that you've written several books, and then I read one of them. Are there any specific takeaways you want to mention in money mindset? And also, are there any current courses or anything you want to talk about that you're offering right now?
Thank you for that, Sri. So first of all, to your comments, yeah, I teach my clients. I take full responsibility for my life.
Yeah.
I believe I chose my parents.
Mhm.
And, my soul chose their souls to learn in this lifetime. And so I don't blame them for not teaching me certain things.
Yeah.
Came here to learn what I was supposed to learn and grow and improve and get to that next level of enlightenment in this lifetime. So, yeah, they did the best they could with what they knew. And
Yeah.
so and they had their beliefs that they were taught from their parents, right? So my grandparents taught my parents certain things that didn't serve them, and they didn't know any better. They weren't coaches, and so they didn't try to explore their limiting beliefs. A lot of the things that they taught us, they believed were the truth,
Mhm.
right? They believed that rich people are evil. They believed real in their heart of hearts, they believed that you have to work hard to be rich and successful.
Mhm.
That's the only way.
Yeah, that is a struggle for sure. I
And so it
agree
doesn't
with you.
have to be. So I just wanted to comment on that. And then in terms, I've written 3 books, working on my fourth. The first one was Mindful Money Management. Been talking about the 9 money rules millionaires use. Infinite Love and Money. I wrote with a relationship coach, Molly Singh, to end divorce caused by money. And the current book I'm working on with a purpose coach I believe it's going to be called The Path to Purpose and Prosperity. And we've alluded to that as well. I truly believe when you're doing what you love with purpose, that you'll become more prosperous.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 books and the one coming in 2025. What I'm most excited about right now is my Money Miracles membership, which I created a few years ago, and I'm creating a bonus discount. I'll call it a discount this month of December, where uh, anyone who's watching this can get $4,000 off the
Wow.
Money Miracles membership. So it's a 4,888 annual fee program. And so anyone watching this, they only all they have to pay is 888. So use the
That's
discount code.
huge.
That's huge. So Prosperity 888 on the checkout. So you can go to Salamo.com, SALAURMO.com, and the first drop down on the programs is the Money Miracles membership. And that'll bring you to the landing page and just put in that discount Prosperity 888. So let me tell you a little bit about the membership. The purpose of the membership is to take you from wherever you are towards financial freedom. And look, different people are at different places. It's a group coaching program. I have a 1 hour call every single week. You ask me anything you want on mindset, manifestation, investing, anything to do with prosperity and abundance and money. And I have a series of videos that I've recorded that you would watch over a 6 month period. Some people have binged on it in a month. That's fine, but you don't need to do that. And we have accountability partners, and we have a reward system that we set up, and you can win in the reward system a book, a course, all the way up to free membership.
But what I want to really emphasize again for you is that you not only have the expertise in money management and hedge fund and all of that, but you have the mindset prosperity coaching experience, which really helps anyone that you can learn the facts about investing and all of that, but you really have to understand why you're struggling with certain things in your life. And that's what I love about your combination. And that's what really drew me to you. So I want to thank you for that and all the work that you do. And we'll also put your website and all that information in the show notes so people can get access that as well. I feel
Thank
like
you,
this was
Sheree.
a very serious conversation. Really, but I mean, it's all really just this. It's important stuff, you know.
It
I
is
think it's
serious, but
big.
have fun. Like that's most important thing. If you're having fun, if you're in a Bora Bora, you're having fun, right? Like get out there and have fun wherever you are because you'll be vibrating at a higher level, and you're in the vibration of frequency of abundance and prosperity up here, having fun. If you're like really really serious all the time, and you're like that's you can't get here from here.
And I look at, when I made the decision to go on that retreat, it was a little bit of a big deal for me. It was, it wasn't cheap. And I booked it. It has like no turning back. I'm going to do this. And I met so many amazing people, you being one of them, connections. And you're going to be part of my retreat in June. So I'm so excited about that. So, people will get even more of your knowledge and your teachings in the workshops for that. So that's a really good thing. But yeah, so my point on, I stepped out of a fear that I may have had years before and went into gratitude and appreciation, and look what I got from it. It was all good.
Absolutely. And I don't know if I ever told you the quick story about how I got to Bora Bora,
No.
to Tahiti, which is where we flew into.
All right.
I had, I'm a certified infinite possibilities trainer, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm in Mike Dooley's mailing list and his sphere, I would say. And so I get all the information. And he had told me about Tahiti almost a year before we went. And I think it was June of 23. And I was kind of like, wow, that's pretty cool. But Maldives is my place, and that's where I'm going to go. And so it kept on, it was on his emails for weeks and months, and I
Yeah.
didn't really have any resonance with it. And then he sent an email, I think it was October 7th, saying we have 5 spots left. And I was like, wow, he's booking up so quick. It's 6 months before the trip in April of 24. And I didn't think much of it. I saw the email, and then I was reading a book by Og Mandino, The University of Success. and I was like 350 pages into it. It's a 400-page book. I'm like, I really want to get through this book today. So I just like I was going to see my mom in a couple of hours. I was like, okay, I'm just going to finish the book. And I'm reading it, and then it starts talking about the mutiny on the Bounty, which takes place in Tahiti. And it actually said the word Tahiti. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Mike is going there. And then I just like, I got that email today, and I was like, didn't really put two and two together. And then a couple of hours later, I'm at my mom's assisted living center. We play Scrabble every weekend, and we're playing Scrabble. And I get the letters Tahit, and there's a blank on the board.
Are you serious? Well,
I'm
I believe you.
serious.
Obviously, I shouldn't even ask that question.
And that's
Yeah.
how I got to. I'm like, okay, I got it. Like the universe, like
Yeah.
pound, like, and
Yep.
so I believe that I went to connect with you to go and be a speaker at your retreat. That's my
And
belief.
and I had been asking the universe because I could not finalize some details on my retreat on the workshops. And I was like, I just need some more guidance and answers and what's that final piece? And then I met you and then I came back from it and I was like, oh my gosh, like so yeah, same thing. Yeah. You've definitely had experiences with that for sure, Al. So yeah. Well, thank you so much, Joel. This was awesome.
My pleasure.
I hope that this gave some valuable insight. I say that all the time to listeners, and they can take some positive pieces and tidbits and help them. Yeah.
My my pleasure. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
This podcast is presented solely for informational and entertainment purposes. We are not licensed therapists. We are just here having fun and offering content that may be helpful or relatable.